From the studios of the Bitter End Media Group, deep in the heart of Texas, it's the Texas Backstage Pass Podcast with your host, Jeff Caperton. Writers, directors, producers, this is your Backstage Pass to the latest in the Texas film and television industry. And now, here is your host, Jeff Caperton.
Hey, welcome back to Texas Backstage Pass. Today we're out here with Corey and Wes at Lucky Giraffe Set Design and Construction. We're just outside of Austin, Texas at their shop, but they, of course, work all over Texas and anywhere else that they want to go. But guys, thanks for being on the podcast today. We appreciate you coming out. We're sorry we're having to improvise a little bit because we had a lot of our equipment stolen this morning, but we're really glad to be here, and we're excited to hear a little bit about it. Tell us a little bit about how both of y'all kind of got into the business and how you ended up in Texas building movie sets.
Yeah, that's a good story. Thanks for having us on, by the way. We met building in Austin at a theater called the Zach Theater. He was a carpenter there, and I was an overhire carpenter. And he taught me basically how to build, which is pretty cool. We're only there for a short time, though, because then he got connected with the guy who took him to the film industry.
It was a company that I wanted to work for, Rooster Teeth in town, which is a fun internet company that has a huge following. They were like, hey, you want to help on the film? I was like, yes, book it. And then they did another movie probably a couple months later, and then after it was less than a year, and I was working for him.
Oh yeah.
I came back. He's like, hey, I need your help on this thing. I'm lead carpenter on this project. I was like, what?
Yeah, so
all right.
He got a job, then worked their second movie called me in. I worked on a Rooster Teeth feature, and then I was working on another thing as lead carpenter called him. And then we did 3 projects together that way, where for some reason I was lead, even though he knew how to build better than me.
Right.
I don't like the spotlight.
And then on the 3rd or 4th film, we were actually out here at Spiderwood, where our shop is today.
Right.
In this building, right?
And Barry Rogers, who we both know, walked in. He was the director of operations at the time, and he said, "Hey, you guys want to build a shop?" And we were like, "Yeah, let's do a shop." Because you want this building? We were like, "Yeah, sure." So that's how we established Lucky Giraffe here at Spiderwood.
Well, very good. That's really cool, because this is a great spot to be. There's a lot going on. You're close to Austin, and of course, like you were just saying, you got a job coming up all the way out in Marfa, Texas. So you're anywhere you need to be. I know when we talked before, you showed me you've got a couple of good big trucks. So you can pretty much pack up whatever you need and take it wherever it's needed.
Buying the trucks that was the best thing I think we could have done. We have the production truck full of production equipment we always wanted to do, but then we realized we were using it so much to haul our own stuff around and having to rent trucks all the time. We didn't realize how much stuff we've accumulated in 3 years of just stuff.
Right.
I mean, useful stuff, tools and trucks and everything else. By the way, that's not an incentive for anybody to come and steal our stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Please.
No, where are y'all again? No. No, that's great. Now, tell me a little bit about, I know that, as a producer myself, when I'm producing a movie and doing things, there's always the option of shooting on location or renting a soundstage and building a set. What are some of the advantages? Obviously, there's an expense that goes along with renting a soundstage and having to construct the set and do all that stuff. But tell me some of the advantages of shooting on a set on a soundstage versus shooting at your Aunt Minerva's house.
I love locations because locations, there are certain things that we could never replicate. There's antiques and old construction buildings that, unless you're a Marvel movie or you have just copious amounts of money, like there's no way that you can replicate that sort of authenticity. But for a lot of people, those shots get lost. So the control you have on a soundstage you save money in the long run for most things, because transpo, crew movement, trying to get everybody organized, even just finding bathrooms and power. Like you talking about our job in Marfa, I'm taking our generator with us. I have all our battery-powered tools. I have no idea if I'm going to be in the middle of nowhere when I'll set up a solar panel and start charging my stuff. But it's on a soundstage, you have the control to keep people and check people. If there's a sensitive scene, it's always good to have that kind of indoors. You don't want anybody in a lovemaking scene in the rain, in the cold, out in some barn somewhere.
Right.
So
yeah, and honestly, most of the time, even though you say there are costs associated with getting a stage or whatever, we've been on several projects where they've tried to cut the corner by going with the cheaper option, and you end up paying for it in the end, like whether it's parking or the bathroom situation or whatever. Like the freedom and control you get from having a stage, I mean, that's going to save you a lot of time, which is money.
Yeah, well, and certainly a part of set design too is, movable walls and movable ceilings. If you want to get a certain shot, well, we'll just take this section of wall out, or whatever, or we can light it and leave the lights. You don't have to reset your lights every time you go back to that location, especially if it's a location that's saying in a series or a feature film, you're going to be spending a lot of time at that location.
And then you have times where we built an entire stage for a movie because they said, oh, we absolutely want to get this shot where it's right at the carpet. We want to see the fibers of the carpet. Never did the shot.
We built the entire set on a 3-foot tall stage where someone can get down there, and they never used it.
Not once. Holes in the floor with the carpeting cut out, secret passages, nothing.
Yeah. Never used it.
Never used it.
That happens a lot, though. It's awkward. But tell me about some other crazy things that maybe y'all have done, or interesting things that y'all have done that you wouldn't necessarily think about. Actually,
another really funny instance where they had asked for movable walls. We built, just out here in the field out here, we built a bathroom as its own complete set, but outside, because they wanted to get this beautiful sunset shot, coming in. And you can't do that inside the stage.
Right.
So we built it out there, and they knew they were going to have to remove some walls, but they didn't know exactly which ones. They were waiting for the DP to make the decision. And so we built it as flexible as we could, and we were like, all right, you can do anything except move this one wall.
And that's the wall.
And that's the wall they wanted to move. And we were like, of course.
Always.
Yeah, we got the shot.
Tell us about some of the projects y'all worked on, some of the things that people might have seen or know about.
Sure. Actually, we just had a really cool one come out. It was a Starbucks Uber Eats commercial.
Oh, neat.
What happens is they filmed with this robot arm. And what the robot arm is you can program it to the same pass every time. And if we're talking to film industry people, we all know what a plate is. You get a still, so that way you can impose things on the still.
Right.
Well, with the robot arm, the entire movement is a plate, so because it's repeated exactly every time. So you can do a bunch of different actions and then cut it all together, so you have people fading in and out, walls fading in and out, things like that.
Nice.
So they had cabinets coming down and desks flipping out of the way and drawers that sunk in and countertops coming down and entire furniture being moved in and out and dropped down and lighting changes. The door spun around and then also opened a different way.
I mean, there were so many gadgets and gags, and it turned out to look really awesome.
Yeah, that's really neat. I'll be watching for that one. That's cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about, obviously there's a lot of different skill sets that people need to have to do this. And of course, you aren't building a house to last 100 years. You're building a house.
No, don't trust us to do that.
A building to last until the end of the day or whatever. But I'm sure there's a lot of people, a lot of very unique skill sets. Tell us about some of the people you got working for you and some of the unique skill sets that they have and how they integrate into the system.
Sure. So actually, we're really lucky. We have a really awesome team, and they've been with us now about 5 or 6 months as full time. So we went from 2 to 6, a team of 2 to a team of 6, about 5 months ago.
Nice.
We still have as much work as we did last time.
Has it got any easier?
Yeah.
No, I don't know where that was supposed to change, but.
But whereas before, we had fairly rudimentary drafting skills, and then obviously our fabrication skills are there. We brought in an operations manager. His name is Yasha, and he brought with him really proficient 3D drafting skills, and he even uses the Unreal Engine so that we can now model your set and then give you a camera walkthrough of what it's going to look like before we even start building it.
Nice.
And Unreal can do lighting and pathways, and he can shift things and change things. He can do curves and spheres a lot easier than I could in SketchUp, but it's fantastic, and it really helps us. Along with, we finally bought the toys we wanted of the 3D printers, and his skills in 3D modeling that stuff took off too. Because I think as soon as we bought the printer, we were like, okay, we can start talking to clients. No, first week we're like, hey, build this massive thing.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, when we bought the 3D printer, it immediately started running day one. 2 weeks later, we bought another 3D printer because we were so busy with it, and I'm pretty sure neither of them has stopped moving pretty much since we got them.
They're just fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I mean, whatever you can imagine, you can build now.
You can make now. Yeah.
Well, we had the CNC machine before, which Yasha's skills also translate to, but I had to learn that G code and everything else. The CNC does great job. We have signs and cutouts and different things like that. But intricate, tiny stuff, prototyping, prop builds for me, it's been a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Neat. That's really cool.
And then we also were very fortunate to add to our team. We added a scenic, and Rachel Kieschnick. She's our lead scenic. We call her Queen of the Paints around here.
Okay.
And then we have Christy Howell, who is our lead fabricator. She's our scenic shop manager. We also call her the shop empress.
Okay.
Self-imposed.
So everybody has a title, all right? So everybody
Yeah.
has titles. Put that on your business card.
But basically, by adding those two people, we took skills that we already had and were doing, and they just helped us level them up. And now, like, anytime we need something scenic, we know it's going to be done to the best quality. And we expanded our build team. And I mean, you haven't seen this building before, but just having a team to help us organize and keep things clean not only has helped with where we are now, but our products have just like gone through the roof in quality.
That's great. Excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah. Actually, one of the coolest things about all those people I mentioned is they are multi-talented. So if we need a team of 4 carpenters, Rachel knows how to build, Yasha knows how to build, he knows how to build. If we need scenic, Chris knows how to scenic.
Pick up a saw.
Exactly.
Go to work.
So we have our roles, but we're also a very inclusive and supportive team.
That's good.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I found that, I started out at a local TV station, and, everybody did what had to be done. If the teleprompter guy called in sick, I'd go work teleprompter for the news broadcast or whatever. But then I got to California, and where it completely changed. You had all these, everybody had their little tiny window of a job, and you couldn't, even if you knew how to do it, you couldn't touch anything else or do anything else.
Yep.
And the lack of productivity that created was just staggering to me. I don't know how anybody got anything done.
Yep.
That was my first experience in the film industry. Originally was I got yelled at by a grip for touching something, and I was very new, so I was like, I don't even know what grip means, let alone what your stuff is.
Right.
Like, I just wanted to move it out of the way. Like, I know not to touch big expensive lights and camera, but
a tripod
sandbag,
or a sandbag, right?
I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, that's a union sandbag.
Yep. But I mean, now the beauty of this is we're kind of in a weird in between. We work with union people, we work with non-union people, and we have clients that really trust us, and that means a lot.
That's excellent. Yeah, you build those relationships and get that recurring business, and that's really important. Obviously, things, you talk to the different studio managers and heads around right now. You talk to the different equipment rental companies and the other vendors and suppliers like you guys, and everybody's really busy right now. There's a lot going on in Texas, and there's plans for new facilities and new studios and new properties where you can shoot back lots and things like that. How's that impacted y'all's business, and are y'all prepared and focused and ready to do what you've got to do to keep up with the work demand?
It can only help.
Yeah, actually, I'm really looking forward to a lot of the expansion that's happening here. Not only because it's going to get us more work and things, but one of our missions here at Lucky Giraffe, as we've been going, is to cut down on waste and improve processes. And over the 3 years that we've been in business, we've really accomplished a lot. We've got a full stock of flats that we keep rentable at any given time. With our team working swiftly together, we save time, we save money. And so as these new people come to town, we're going to be able to present them a fully functioning, high-quality scene shop. The guy that's going to build Ambassador over here is from LA, and so he's used to a certain standard.
Right.
And I am not shy about saying I think we're going to meet and or exceed that standard.
Excellent. That's also good. Like you're talking about with that, working with the LA guys and stuff, who they're used to the union stuff, and they understand it. It's good to have a good understanding of both sides, because you are going to have to work with both, and it's a very different experience, both on the actor side and the set design and gaff and G&E and all that. It becomes a deal. Plus, working with those people too, you got to incorporate a lot of that into your set design, and it sounds like you're getting the precision so tight. You talked about the mechanical arm, how it replicates exactly the same exact shot. I guess as technology grows and expands and that becomes more common, so is the precision in which some of the sets are going to have to be done, and the accommodations are going to have to be made in the set design to incorporate those things. So how are y'all looking at keeping up with that? I mean, I don't even know how you would keep up with that, but how do you try to look to the future and try and anticipate things that are coming?
So we actually looked into, there's people who make aluminum flats rather than made out of wood. They're easier to reuse. Problem with them, I mean, they have their own problems, but they have to be in a set system, and that system is usually, that front needs to be replaced every single time. or the sides need to be fixed or whatever. And with us, that precision is always difficult because that triangle, have you ever heard of it? The good, fast, and cheap?
Right.
Pick two.
Yeah.
So we're always trying to make it where we can give everybody all three. Yeah. It's difficult, but like he was talking about, our flats, it used to be just us where our flats were like, okay, we got a job coming up, we got to sand the flats down again, but now they're prepped and ready. So we had a really quick turnaround job last week when we had 5 or 6 flats, and it was just, okay, paint them, they're out the next day.
That's customer loyalty when they know they can call you and you can pull their butt out of a crack.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Then that's you become their favorite go-to guy.
My favorite thing I've heard recently is, I know you guys are busy and I bet you can't do this. I was like,
give it a shot.
Bet you can.
Yeah. We really improved our process in that way, and massive credit to him. He started designing in the last couple of years, starting with little commercials or whatever, but he just did a full $2.8 million movie at the end of last year.
Nice.
And so a lot of just understanding how our things go together. He designed a set that used all of our pieces and how they should be used. We had moving walls, we had different rooms on the back of each other, and it was all of our processes seemed to come together in one. And it was great because since he had understanding, we were able to do it fairly efficiently. And then that also lends to whenever production designers come talk to us, he knows exactly where they're coming from, and so we can interpret that too.
Don't get me wrong, I would love...
Speaks their language.
I would love somebody to go, I have as much money as possible, but that's never the case, because even...
Hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, you got... People always think like, oh, big names, big commercials, they must have a ton of money. But...
It's a different budget, but with the different budget comes other expenses, and somehow the money all gets used up anyway.
Yeah, or maybe it's a social spot, or maybe it's not like a main. People are always thinking, oh, it's commercial work. It's got to be a national level. No, it could just be a local run. Whoever knows. And with that is okay. We can save you money, and we have a lot of customers who come in and go, oh, you've saved me, and now I'm never going anywhere else. And
there you go.
Yes. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
And like they say, you talk about the budget's one of the things that you do learn, and we talk about shooting on a set versus location or whatever. Like the thing that you said with the triangle, skilled labor isn't cheap and cheap labor isn't skilled. So you provide that to your customers, but at a competitive price, and you're there when they need you, and you can drop what you're doing and do something to help them. That's building a little bit. I know as a producer, when I'm on set and there's a sudden last minute need, I've got my 3 phone numbers that I'm calling. One of these 3 guys can do this, I hope, if they're even available, So that's a great resource. Well, that's really exciting, guys. And is there anything else y'all want to talk about before we're going to go and kind of walk around, have a look around. But I mean, before we start that, is there anything else you all wanted to share with everybody, or talk about your business? Any names you want to drop, or
I could drop names for days. I mean, I love Victoria Resendez in town. She's great. She is actually the one we just helped out on a job in Houston.
She's a designer.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes, she's a designer. Phil Rios and Dakota Millett, they both helped me on this last film, as well as Annie Bradford. She's a writer and director, and she sometimes, I beg her to help us with design. I mean, I could go on forever, but the biggest thing is that we have been so lucky to have the support in the last 3 years that we have, 3+ years now. And we love working with the people in town, love meeting new people like you guys, and I'm hoping that if you talk to us again in the next couple of years, we'll have a massive warehouse full of all my junk. I mean, stuff. That very important stuff.
And we'll be sitting in the studio hot tub talking about whatever's going on.
Like, you remember that time when we were in that dusty...
Right, yeah. Now that brings up an interesting question. As you were talking about, you've been very lucky. Where does the name Lucky Giraffe come from?
Oh, God.
I can't not ask that question. Everybody's going to ask me, why didn't you ask that question?
I needed a name because back when I was pretending to be bigger than I was, I ordered something online from some construction company, some particular product that a client wanted. And they're like, what's your company name? I need a company name. And I was like, tall and Irish, Lucky Giraffe.
There you go.
And I told Corey, he was like, all right, yeah. Although we did have to change our logo on our first big commercial.
We used to have this picture. It was this cartoon, goofy giraffe with his tongue sticking out. When we started this company, we had no idea where it was going.
Right.
I thought it was funny.
I loved it, but this producer came in from LA on this commercial that we did, and he was like, "Guys, you look like a kids' party company." So we were like, "Oh, well, let's work on that."
Yeah, maybe sure.
Yeah. So the
Pro up
Shamrock
the logo
kind
a little
of.
bit.
Wrote it up a little. So we ended up with this, Shamrock and Giraffe thing. But what's really funny is we've been with this company for so long now that the origin of the name Lucky Giraffe has been forgotten by several of our friends. And my fiance the other day saw his Twitter handle, which is the Lucky Giraffe, and she said, "Wait, why does he get to be the Lucky Giraffe?" And I was like, "Because he is."
There's
Lucky
two.
Giraffe.
Yeah, he's the tall one. That's why.
6'8", he wins.
Yeah.
there you
I got
go.
a couple inches. So it's a mess now because we had a rainstorm that collapsed the tent out here and I had to shove everything in here. But this is lamps and lampshades and computers and phones and old school phones and a bear trap for some reason and my cleared artwork for dressing and swords and knives and guns and whatever else people
Machine
like
guns and all kinds of.
Oh yeah, tons of that. You can't be in Texas. I like when somebody walked past here the other time, they looked back and I just started putting the wall so people could grab stuff, and they're like, "That is the most Texas back wall I've ever seen."
Looks like something would open up in James Bond's house.
Right.
Like the wall would open up and that would be there.
So they might look a bit dirty, but they are all. We only use them a couple.
It only matters for one side, really.
Yeah. Well, the tops are all nice and primed and sealed and everything else, and if they ever get damaged too much, we replace the aluminum on top. But we keep a standard 4x8, 4x10, 8x8, 8x10. Then we keep a couple random sizes, ceiling flats, other stuff. But if they ever get too damaged, we just throw them out.
Replace them, right.
But doing this, we have saved dump fees and construction costs for people to the point where I think we did a favor for a friend who wanted, just, hey, I'm going to do this little photo shoot. I'm not getting paid for it. Everything's kind of pro bono.
Right.
And we tossed together a 16 by 16 set for them because we really owed them. And we did all the work and, but we had the availability to do it and it was great. And the look on her face when she walked in and she had a set that, like a proper set, not just something that you
thrown together. It's an actual,
Yeah.
So speaking of that, how do people find you?
You can go to our website, luckygiraffe.co. By the way, the M is $3,000, and we have
Right.
We're putting the money back to you.
There you go.
If anybody wants to give us $3,000 to buy the M, I absolutely will do that.
There you go. That's an expensive M.
No, I mean we've done a really good job putting ourselves just on Google because, like you said, the LA people coming into town, our industry is so word of mouth.
Yeah. So you're exactly right.
And so we're trying to put ourselves out there. I mean, we have an Instagram account which Devin has been wonderful about keeping up on because we certainly don't.
Yep, she's been great, and she's been working in conjunction with our videographer, John Davidson, who will pick up a camera and come in. He also knows how to build and things, so while he's building with us, we're like, hey, go grab a camera.
Grab a camera and get a little BTS.
We have to give a special mention to John. John knows camera, John knows cars, John knows... Anytime that you're talking about a go-to problem solver, he's like... The lights broke again on the car.
Right.
Yeah,
we need the Tromo filled.
Right.
Just come in, please.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys taking time. I know you're busy, and take time to just sit down and talk to us. I hope everybody that's listening and watching will take all this to heart and remember you guys when it comes time. We're trying to really highlight the businesses in Texas that are associated with the film industry, not just studios and camera rentals, but the whole thing, because there's so much more to it than what most people understand. Most of our viewers are in the business, so they understand, or at least have had some exposure to it. But, we're just really trying to show people what's out there, and this is just a very impressive outfit, and you guys are just doing a great job. We wish you a lot of success in the future, and just thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us, giving us a platform to talk about it. It's great.
Well, thanks for being with us, and we appreciate everybody that's tuned in, either listening or watching, and we'll see you on the next Texas Backstage Pass.